Okay, write an equation of the given graph in slope-intercept form. Okay, we have a line. A line takes the form of y equals mx plus b. Those are slots. So you got to find your m and b values. M is the line's slope, and b is the line's y-intercept. So the y-axis, okay, where does that line cross the y-axis? Right there, okay? So -2. Okay, now line slope is rise over run. When you have a graph, no formulas, you just measure the graph. So, no, right there. Or actually, right here is better, okay? I mean, it's closer in right there. Don't go to the left, you want to go to the right. So it's up 1, right 1. So it's 1 over 1. So since there's a 1 underneath, you're just going to put 1. Y equals 1x plus -2. Or y equals x plus -2. Okay, number 2, y equals mx plus b. Okay, so you got to find your m and your b. M is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So the y-axis right there is where it crosses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is the y-intercept. Okay, and the slope is rise over run. Okay, so you go to the right. Actually, right here works. Okay, so that is -1, right 1. So -1 over 1 because you went down 1. So you're just going to put -1. Y equals -x plus 5. Okay, now you need to graph the equations. Y equals -2/3 x plus 7. Okay. So is the y by itself? Yes, the equation's there. Now you're doing the opposite of what you did on the other page. Mx plus b. So we have a slope of -2/3 and a y-intercept value of +7. So on the y-axis you go to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Then from there you go down 2, right 3. Down 2, 1, 2, 3. There, that equation fits line. The slope means every time the x increases by 3, the y decreases by 2. Okay, that's what that ratio represents. Every time we increase the input by 3, the output drops by 2. Arrow on both ends. Okay, now the next one, we got to get the y by itself. So y is multiplied by 6, okay? It's +6, so I don't need to change the signs. You don't want y multiplied by a negative when you're trying to get that variable by itself, okay? So we go from there. So you need to get rid of your -4x. You're going to add 4x, and then you make a 0x, so you have a place to add 4x. So you line up your equals, you got 6 times y. 0x plus 4x is 4x, followed by the plus 12. You want the x before the 12. Then you divide everything by 6. Okay. 4 divided by 6 is a decimal, so you're going to keep that 4, 6x. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay. So y is by itself, and you have your m and b. So I have a slope of 4 over 6 and a y-intercept of +2. 4 over 6 you could also reduce to 2/3, but you get the idea. So 2, then you're up 4, right 6. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And I can't do it again, okay? So you graph your line. Arrows on both ends. Okay, number 5, x equals -5. Well, you're missing the y. So if I'm missing the y, that is known as a constant graph. Okay. So constants, you make a series of coordinates. Okay. Just 3 of them is good enough. So I'm missing the y. So y is whatever I want. So 1, 2, 3. And the x is -5 constantly. Okay, so you go left 5. Up 1. Left 5, up 2. left 5, up 3. Okay, so the line follows along that part where the x is 5. Okay. Okay, number 6, y equals 4. Okay, you're missing the x this time. Okay, so it's another constant graph. But this time, it's not going to go straight up and down. It's going to go straight but not up and down. So you're missing the x. So this time x goes to 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 4, 4. So you go right 1, up 4. Right 2, up 4. Right 3, up 4. Okay, and you draw a line straight across from that. Okay. Okay, then we're not doing that part. Okay. Now you're going to write an equation, y equals mx plus b, but you don't have the benefit of measuring a graph. So if we don't know the m, that's y minus y over x minus x, and then the b is y equals m times x plus b if we don't know that. So m means we know the slope equals -1/2, and then when x is 2, y is -2. So y equals mx plus b. Okay. So m -1/2. Okay. And then the b, y equals m times x plus b, and I got to solve for the b. Okay, so my m is -1/2. And then also I put -2 for y and then 2 for x. So you line up your equals, you got -2. Then b plus -1/2 times 2 is -1. And then you add 1 to both sides. So -1 is equal to b. Now if you wish to check that answer, you would go -1 ABC2 times the x, which would be 2, and add the -1. And the output, when I hit equals, should be -2. It is. Okay, through -1, -5, 2, 10. Okay, so when x is -1, y is -5. When x is 2, y is 10. So I build my equation, y equals mx plus b. Okay, so m, y minus y, x minus x, and then the b, y equals m times x plus b. Because we don't know the m here. You can't measure it, so x is -1 and 2. That's going to be I'm going to start with that one, so I put 10 over 2. Then after the minuses, you put -5, -1. Plus, that's 15 over 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we got a 5 for the m. Okay, now the next one, you put 5 in for m. And then you can substitute either pair of coordinates. Doesn't matter. I'll go with the 2, 10. Okay, I'll go with the -1, -5. So -5, b plus. Okay, 5 times -1 is -5. Then you plus 5 to each side, and then 0 equals b. Okay. Now if you want to check your answer, you can take 5 times and then -1 plus 0. The output should be -5. It is. 5 times, put in 2, plus 0, should be 10, which it is. Okay, I want to write an equation that's parallel to y equals 1/4 x minus 6. Parallel lines look like that. They run side by side, won't ever cross. That's because they have the same slope, the same m. So they're parallel to y equals 1/4 x minus 6. And then my line also has to be when x is 12, y is -8. So y equals mx plus b. Okay, now they have to have the same m, so what's the m right here? MB, I don't care what the b is, okay? But the m, they have to, if the m's 1/4 in their equation, this is one line, you have to write the equation for the other line. So 1/4 is your m, then b, y equals m times x plus b. So m is 1/4, and then if y is -8, x is 12. b plus, you take 1/4 times 12, that's 3. Minus 3 from both sides, you get negative 11 equals b. That's your answer. Y equals 1/4 x plus negative 11. So you take 1/4 times 12 plus negative 11, and that's going to be negative 8. And also the m's match, so they'll be parallel. Okay, perpendicular to y equals 1/4 x minus 6. Now, you're like, oh, it's the same problem. No, it's not. Okay, perpendicular means the lines cross and form a 90-degree angle. They do that because they have the m's are flipped. Flip m, and you have to make it the opposite sign. Okay. So y equals mx plus b. So this is y, mx plus b. I cross out the b. Now you got to flip it to 4/1, and if this is positive, well then mine has to go to a negative. So it's just going to be negative 4. Then b, y equals m times x plus b. So the m is negative 4. Then y is 1, negative 1. b plus negative 4 times negative 1 is 4. And you subtract 4 from each side. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 equals b. That's your answer. Okay, now we're back to some graphs. Absolute value. I'm going to repeat this again, okay? Let's talk about just the concept of absolute value, okay? Don't write this down, just observe. How far is it from 3 to 0? 3. 2 to 0 is 2. 1 to 0 is 1. 0. Negative 1 to 0 is 1. Negative 2 and 3. So these outputs, you can see they're going down, but then they come back up. The lowest you have is 0. So you're going to find out what would make the absolute value 0. Okay? Okay, I forgot to put domain and range. I want that written down. D-O-M-A-I-N, range. You might as well do it on the next one too. Domain, range. Okay, so vertex. You got to find the vertex. You have to find what makes the inside of the absolute value 0. So you take that x plus 2, set it equal to 0. Minus 2, and I get negative 2. So negative 2, now outside you got 0. You have nothing, so it'd be 0. So you go left 2. And then construct your V. Right 1, back the other way. Okay, it's a continuous graph. Now the domain and range. Label that point negative. Actually, you can just look over here. Okay. Domain is what your x could be. Range is what your y can be. So look at that point. On the x line, that point is lined up at negative 2. But it goes right and left. So that results in a domain of all. On the y-axis, okay, look at where that's lined up. It's lined up right there. So 0. So I put y, but it only goes above the 0 because y is up and down, only above. So it'd be y 0, then greater than or equal to. Okay, number 11. Y equals the absolute value of x, and then after the absolute value, you got minus 6. So vertex. So inside the absolute value, you just have x. So it's just x equals 0. So okay, 0 is the x. Outside, you have a negative 6 added, so the y is negative 6. So you don't go right or left, you just go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. X and y. Okay, now the x, okay? That vertex is right in the middle, but it goes right left. That's why the domain's all. But the range, okay, the one on the y-axis, that is located at negative 6. So but it only goes above the negative 6, so greater than or equal to. Okay, we're going to do a couple more. Y equals the absolute value of x plus 5. Okay, again, I want domain and range. Okay, and you need to find your vertex. Okay, so inside the absolute value, we just have x. X equals 0. Outside, you get a 5 added. So you just go up 5. Domain, again, it goes right, it goes left, because x is the right, left, but that's going both ways, so that's all. Now you put your y with the value of 5, but you only go above the 5. You don't go up, you don't go downward from the 5. None of that does. So 5 only up from there. Greater than or equal to 5. Okay, y equals the absolute value of x minus 1, so vertex. Set the inside of the absolute value equal to 0. So it's then plus 1, so x is 1 at the vertex. There's nothing added, so that's going to be 0. So you go right 1, that's it. Okay. Okay, so x, y. So negative 1, okay, on the x you're at negative 1, you go right and left, so that's all. The range on the y, where's that point at? It's right in the middle, so 0, okay. So y with 0, but it only goes above, so greater than or equal to 0. Okay, story problems. A computer repair service charges a diagnosis fee of $100. That means diagnose means they tell you what's wrong with it. They also charge $40 per hour for repair. How many hours will they work if the total charge is $320? So you got dollars and hours. The time is the x, the dollars is the y. So dollars per hour is 40 times x. Okay. So hours is x, dollars is y. So since we know the 40 times x, we're going 0, 1, 2. So we start at 100, and then every 1 hour I add 40. So 140, 180. Block it, put 320. Question mark, okay? So y starts at 100, and we're adding 40 times x up the line. Okay, so we have 100 plus 40 times x equals y, and y is equal to 320. So take your y out, put 320. Okay, then you minus the 100, that's going to give you 220. Then you are going to divide by the 40, and it's going to be a decimal. It's 5.5. Okay. All right. Okay. So 5.5 hours. Okay, number 13. This one's going to be cars traveling at a constant speed. After traveling for 4 hours, the car is 300 miles from home. After traveling for 7 hours, that car is 150 miles from home. How long is it going to take that car to get home from its beginning distance? And we don't even know what the beginning distance was, because the first distance is 300 miles, but that's after 4 hours. Okay? So you got hours and miles. X is hours, Y is miles. Miles per hour. We do not know the miles per hour rate. There is a miles, it says constant, so that tells you there is a miles per hour, you just don't know, so you put m times x. So when we make our table of values of pairings, hours and miles, we don't go 0, 1, 2. We block off the 0, and we put 4 hours with 300 miles. Then you put 7 hours with 150 miles, and sorry, I forgot to put that. If you get home, you're at 0 miles. I forgot to put 0. So you're trying to find how many hours it takes when you're home, 0 miles. Now, obviously, we don't know where we started at, so you put B right there. You started higher than 300, okay? Because after 4 hours, it takes 4 hours just to be 300 miles from home. So equals Y, but you put B, and you don't know what you're adding every hour because it doesn't go every single hour, so you put M times X. So you have to find the M and the B before you write your equation. Okay, so M, Y minus Y, X minus X, and B, Y equals M times X plus B. All right, so put your 150 over your 7 miles per hour, and then 300 over your 4. So it's going to be negative 150 over 3. Divide that, you get negative 50. And you remember, it's negative. So that means every single hour you'd add negative 50, which makes sense. 5 hour would be 250, okay? 6 hour would go down 50 to 200. 7th hour, you're at 150. Now, put negative 50 for your M. And then we'll use the 7 150. So 150 then times 7. B plus negative 50 times 7 is negative 350. Then you add 350 to both sides. That's 500. Okay, so your B is 500. So we have 500 plus negative 50 times X equals Y, and then Y equals 0. Okay. Now you get the X by itself. You minus the 50, divide by negative 50. So negative 50 times X, 0 minus 50 is negative 500. Then you divide each side by your negative 50. And X equals 10, okay? So 10 hours. Last problem. Following table gives you attendance in U.S. theme parks by millions, okay? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Year 0 is the current year, and then 1, 2, not current year, just the beginning. So it shows a positive trend, okay? So I should be going up with my line. So X, Y. X is years. Y is, just put attendance in millions. Okay, 0 to 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The attendance, you started at 250. So put a 0, but then the first increment's 250. But then after that, you got to add 10 every time. So it's going to be 260, 270, 280, 290, 300, 310, 320, 330. Okay. So 0, 253 right there. Okay. 1, 267. 2, 290. 3, 300. 4, 317, 5, 324, okay? Now, line your ruler up on the y-axis. You need to do that because that's your y-intercept, okay? Make a line that flows with the points with an arrow going upward, okay? Okay, now you got to write an equation of the line. MB. M is the slope of the line. B is the y-intercept. Now you can easily see what your y-intercept is. It's right there. It's right here. It'd be 253. So that's why if you're going to make your table, you need to include where the line crosses the y-axis so you don't sit here and do more work than you have to. So 0, 253. That's your B. Okay? So you don't have, when you see a graph, you shouldn't have to do work to find the B. However, I'm going to pick 2 other points, okay? Go with these two. But I can't measure those. I'm never going to be able to measure those counting squares. So then I'm going to need to mark those on the table. 3, 4. So 300, 4, 317. Then we're going to find what the change was there. Those are reasonable points to find a rate of change. Y minus y, x minus x. Okay, so you put 317 over 4 and 300 over 3. 17 over 1, that's 17. So what this means is you started at 253. Then if you were to find a best guess average of what you're adding every year, okay, it would be 17. And then there's a question on the back side. Don't do it.